analysis. Shah Rukh Khan is distancing himself from Karim Morani, not completely unexpected there. Let's go straight into our main debate of the day. I'd like to welcome our panelists first before I go into the debate and introduce the story. The story tonight is about Dayanidhi Maran. Dayanidhi Maran is seriously under the scanner. There has been an explosive news report in the news magazine Tehelka. The union minister responded by suing Tehelka. Tehelka says this is an attempt at intimidation. The left parties say there are issues of culpability that Mr. Dayanidhi Maran must answer. The B.J.P tore into Mr. Dayanidhi Maran today, asking him 4 straight and pointed questions. Mr. Maran is not responding so far. The Congress party, interestingly, has washed its hands of Mr. Maran, and no single government minister was willing to take a question even on a man who is potentially the next source of embarrassment for the government. What's the whole issue? Well, in principle, the issue is this. It's about the nature, manner, and the sequence in which clearances were given by Dayanidhi Maran to certain companies when he was a minister, and then following which, a few weeks after which, there was a massive investment made by the same company that invested in one of the telecom companies, in a company, television company, which is run by his brother. The question is of conflict of interest. We'd like to place on record, we have asked Mr. Dayanidhi Maran several times to answer our questions. So far, he's not speaking. Ravi Shankar Prasad represents the B.J.P, held that press conference today. Mohammad Salim of the CPIM, Sitaram Yechuri, made important points today. On the pro-Maran position today is Neeraj Kishan Kaul, senior lawyer of the Supreme Court, Majid Memon, top lawyer and national secretary of the NCP, and R. Rangaraj, senior journalist who's live with us from Chennai. Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, I'm going to balance this debate, and we'll go 1 for and 1 against, therefore, to keep it extremely balanced. Mr. Prasad, how sure are you that there is a conflict of interest / propriety issue that Mr. Dayanidhi Maran needs to answer, and if so, why?
Arnav, I have raised 4 or 5 questions, which I am repeating today. I wish Mr. Maran would have been here to reply to it. Is it a fact that 74% FDI in telecom was allowed when he was the minister from May 2004 to May 2007? Number 2, is it a fact or not that 74% equity in Aircel mobile company was purchased by Maxis Communication of Malaysia during his regime? Point number 3, is it a fact or not that after the Malaysian company purchased the equity, the Aircel company was given 14 licenses in different parts of the country? Next, is it a fact or not that the same Maxis Communication invested in Sun Direct, family-owned company of Mr. Maran, by investing heavily in its equity through its subsidiary Astro Limited? If so, is it a case of quid pro quo or not?
That's very serious.
Abuse of authority or not? That's a very simple question I'm asking. He should answer these questions directly. And Arnav, please don't forget that in the NDA regime, it was decided that the pricing of spectrum shall be done by the Finance Ministry and the GOM. When Mr. Maran was the minister, he insisted, and Dr. Manmohan Singh obliged, because of prior concurrence of the DMK, the pricing of spectrum shall go out of the GOM's loop. These are well-known facts. And in the opposition, purely in public interest, we are entitled to ask this question. And as a sitting minister,
but what he says is this.
Maran is obliged to answer.
I just want to place on record. So all the facts are here. Mr. Maran is not here, but I have a copy of the legal notice that is he sent Tehelka magazine. And I'll go to NK Kaul, Neeraj Kishan Kaul. You heard Ravi Shankar Prasad. What does Maran say? Maran says that I have no shareholding or no interest in any form with Sun Direct TV. It's a separate legal entity. I'm in no way connected with its business transaction in any form. Of course, his brother happens to be running the company. That's, on the aside. But is that a technical point? Can that point be disregarded, Neeraj Kishan Kaul?
Well, Arnav, first let me set the record straight. I'm not taking a pro-Maran stand. I don't know where you got that. But according to me, of course, he's a holder of a public office. And if there's any truth in this expose, I think Mr. Maran definitely owes an explanation to the nation. He holds an office of trust. And according to me, these are not issues of just culpability. Culpability is something which would be decided finally by the courts in case where the investigation, the way it proceeds, the charge sheet, ultimately a trial if it takes place. But there's a larger issue which is coming up in all these matters, again with a rider, that if these allegations are true, of property and propriety.
Yes.
Can people who hold public offices, can their relatives float companies which are recipients and beneficiaries of money from companies in turn,
Yes,
who have benefited from these ministries? And the issues
absolutely.
of crony capitalism will come up there. So these are larger issues other than criminal culpability which will arise in days to come. And I don't think if allegations are ultimately found to be true, it would be open for a minister to say that, look, I didn't have a direct link, it was my brother, my sister-in-law who were beneficiaries of large amounts
Yes.
from a company which benefited
So you're
from the
saying he's
ministry
arguing
directly.
technically?
Provided.
You're saying he's arguing technically by saying that that happens to be my brother's company? That's Kalanidhi Maran's company. I am Dayanidhi Maran. So don't ask me, ask my
Arnab, that's
brother.
That's why I said that there are larger issues of propriety in public life.
Okay,
You
propriety.
can't just get technical. There's a certain explanation you owe to the nation, and I'm sure he should come forward, explain his stand, and if he feels it's a defamatory expose, he can take recourse to all remedies that are available to him in law.
Yes. So did Mr. Raja, actually, interestingly and coincidentally, among these numerous coincidences we find in our public life. Mr. Raja also, his initial response was that it's a defamatory exposure. Ms. Kanimori's initial response was also something to that effect. But the questions are so sharp, and the questions and the answers to them are so, obvious, that I think as of now Mr. Maran needs to come out and explain.
Is needed.
Yeah. Let me go to Mr. Rangaraj. Mr. Rangaraj, where do you stand? You're a senior journalist. I'm told you have some sympathies for Mr. Maran on this issue.
No, I have no sympathies for Mr. Maran. Mr. Maran is quite capable of handling himself, his portfolios and his affairs in the party. The only thing that should be noted is people should realize that Maran's brother, Kalanidhi Maran, is an extremely shrewd businessman, and he doesn't take nonsense from anyone, whether that person is from their family or from the party. You know that at one time Sun TV shared the DMK headquarters office. They were on the first floor, and Kalanidhi Maran, that is Dayanidhi's brother, his instruction was no one from the DMK party should be allowed to come to his studio office. And this instruction was maintained right till the time Sun TV was on that floor. So he doesn't take instructions from anyone, even if it is his grandfather.
You're saying this is coincidental?
Or any member of his family.
Are you saying that it is an absolute, because it can be, I guess it can be, anything can be a coincidence in our world today. Are you saying it's an absolute coincidence that this company Maxis, which got its licenses during Mr. Maran's time, coincidentally, just because they perhaps think Mr. Kalanidhi Maran is a shrewd businessman, out of sheer coincidence, divine providence, collusion of facts, it happened to invest some 600 crores in Kalanidhi Maran's company? There's no link. That's what you're saying.
No, that's not the only investment. Sun TV has been known to go in for mergers and acquisitions.
No, but
they have also acquired stake in SpiceJet, you would have noticed recently. Not all these decisions you can attribute to Mr. Dayanidhi Maran.
This is a
but
coincidence.
I have an interesting statement from Astro, which was made in February 2011 on this subject, which said Sun TV entered into an MOU with the Astro Group in January 27, 1997, when ASIL was not in existence. But since Government of India did not allow the use of KU bond transponders for DTH services, the project was put on hold. And it was almost 10 years later, after the DTH policy was announced by the government in December 2007, that Astro picked up a 20% stake in Sun Direct TV.
No, but then 1997 you have an MOU.
Was officially stated by Astro.
1997, as per what you're saying, 1997 you have an MOU. And a few weeks after getting the clearance, almost 8 or 9 years later, 10 years later, you decide to actually invest $150 million in a company. Mr. Prasad, you take that argument? What do you think?
No, first I would like to inform the eminent gentleman journalist from Chennai that I was INB Minister of India.
Yes.
And in 2002-2003 itself the DTH policy has come. And
That's
the whole
important.
Tata Sky was started when I was the minister. There is not a case that if the company was registered in 1997, it had to wait till 2005 and 2006 and 7 to get a license and go to Mr. Direct TV or whatever it calls Sun Direct. But yes, I don't doubt the proposition Mr. Maran's brother can do a business. I'm also willing to concede that he may be a very good and shrewd businessman. But if it is a coincidence, as you rightly pointed out, it is too much of a coincidence that a foreign big investor takes 74% equity in an Indian mobile company, it gets 14 licenses overnight or in a short time, and thereafter the same entity invests in the brother's company, assuming for the sake of argument, of the minister. If it is a coincidence, it is too much of a coincidence, and it is surrounded with very grave suspicious circumstances.
Yes.
And the abuse of authority and conflict of interest cannot be ruled out. Point number one. Point number two, or no, very important again, why is it in this telecom business,
Yes.
the companies of South India owned by the DMK leader's family is
Precisely.
reappearing and appearing with alarming regularity?
Precisely.
Kalangar TV, Shahid Balwa, and now we have got the brothers company of Sun Direct. If again it is a coincidence, it is a too much of a coincidence.
It's a tremendous coincidence.
What I raised today in my press conference, I am raising again. Mr. Maran, please come up clean. Clarify, did Maxis Communication
There's been-
invested in your brother's company or not?
No, but
When, how much?
then so far zero response, Mohammed Salim, from the government. They weren't willing to take questions. The Congress says Mr.
Yes, we have
Maran
also
should-
said Dr.
Yes.
Manmohan Singh must.
Yes.
Arnav, only one point again, Arnav. It's very important. When Mr. Raja was being named,
Yes.
and I did something curiously I must recall today, on your channel everyone threatens with defamation, from Sulesh Kalmadi to Mr. Raja, and today we are having Mr. Dayanthi Maran. And every time your channel has been right, what happened I did not recall. But today I will tell to the Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh that you gave certificate of innocence to Mr. Raja earlier in 2009, 2010. What happened, we all know. Dr. Manmohan Singh, please speak up now. Is it a fact or not? If it is a fact, order investigation in the role of Mr. Maran.
It's a strange situation tonight. I must say this, Mohammed Salim. Once a report comes out, shoot the messenger, file a legal case, don't respond. Your standard response. But historically, this response has been seen to be terribly flawed because people want the answers. Mohammed Salim, what do you think? Will shooting the messenger help?
There is only one slight difference, because at that point of time the Congress spokesman was telling that there is no loss, it's all notional. But now Mr. Raja and Kanimoji inside Tihar jail with several corporate bigwigs also, they are not willing to come forward. But the culpability of the PMO first to start with, because it's a financial transaction, and it's the same letter, the same drafted letter which was later used by Raja to threat the Prime Minister. He also, Mr. Maran, threatened that it is we decide the conditions, not the group of ministers, and financial factors should be taken out of the ambit of the group of ministers. So finance ministry has no role to play. It's a question of Nidhi, Kala Nidhi or Daya Nidhi, the trust, and the trust reposed on the by the people to the government, and it is misused and abused. And in this case, it's a benefits that has flown directly. You rightly pointed out, and Tehelka has exposed this, that Prime Minister's office has not said anything earlier also. They have allowed this thing to happen, and now only after Mr. Patil's report came up, Justice Patil's report, the CBI inquiring, at that point of time also when it was said that since 2001 every aspect has to be looked into, we said readily agreed that. We said all aspects, even you go to the pre-independence days, what's happening to the telecom department, and rightly pointed out, you also mentioned that crony capitalism. This is an example of crony capitalism. Now in the name of FDI, the political bribery is routing through the FDI to the companies you favor, and particularly in the media, a section of media, the television company, the radio company, the entertainment companies, and sponsorships are coming in, and it's an involvement of the entertainment world, media world, corporate bigwigs, political bigwigs, and the UPA government is sitting on this. They are allowing this to happen. In the name of the growth, they are allowing these crooks to function and loot the money which is supposed to be the people's
Now, there's one more point. What Mr. Maran is not, Mr. Maran's lawyer says in response to Tehelka says, it will be proven that Mr. Shiva Shankaran wanted to sell his company SL before Maran became a minister. And the argument being put is, if he's not complaining, why are the other people complaining? This is just the point being put there. Now, we also have Shahid, he's been Shahid Balwa's lawyer, Majid Memon, top Mumbai lawyers with us today. So, where do you stand on this? Too many coincidences?
See, Arnav, I have been patiently hearing each one of these gentlemen who are on panel today, and I find that there is more of, political expressions than legal expressions forthcoming.